Her name was Phillis Wheatley, enslaved at 7, a literary genius by 14. And by 20, she'd written words so revolutionary, they forced George Washington, the man leading a war for freedom, to face his own hypocrisy. This is the story of the black poet who weaponized her pen to shame a nation. In 1761, a little girl was ripped from West Africa, trafficked across the ocean, and sold in a Boston marketplace. The Wheatley family named her Phillis, after the slave ship that stole her. But Phillis was no ordinary child. She devoured books, mastered English in months, learned Latin, read Milton and Pope. By 12, she was writing poetry so exquisite, white colonists swore it had to be a hoax. Imagine it, an enslaved girl weaponizing scripture to scream at her oppressors. You think you're holy? God sees me as your equal. In 1773, Phillis did the impossible. She published a book, the first by an African American. To prove she wrote it, 18 of Boston's most powerful men, including the governor, were forced to sign an affidavit attesting to her genius. Think about that. A black child made the Founding Fathers' elite club swear she was human. Her poems were elegant, devastating, a masterclass in wielding words as rebellion. In one, she called out slavery as a cruel fate that stole her from Afric's fancied happy seat. In another, she twisted the revolution's rallying cry, liberty, into a knife aimed at Washington himself. October 1775. The Revolutionary War rages. Phillis Wheatley, still enslaved, writes a letter to General Washington. She includes a poem praising his fight for freedom, and then drops a moral atom bomb. Translation? The world is watching you, sir. Don't just win a war, end slavery. Washington was so stunned, he invited her to his camp, a sitting general, meeting an enslaved woman as an equal. But when she left, he did nothing. Because Washington owned hundreds of slaves, and Phillis's truth was too dangerous to acknowledge. Phillis died in 1784, forgotten, poor, buried in an unmarked grave. Meanwhile, Washington and Jefferson, men who praised her brilliance, kept humans in chains. They built a nation on a lie. All men are created equal. But Phillis's ghost wouldn't let them rest. Her words became abolitionist ammunition, a reminder that the mind knows no chains. Yet today, we chisel the Founding Fathers into marble, while Phillis Wheatley's grave is a trash-strewn lot in Boston. So why does a dead poet matter? Because her story isn't about the past. It's about who writes history, who gets remembered, who gets to be human. Phillis Wheatley didn't just write poems, she forced America to stare into the mirror, and 250 years later, the reflection still haunts us. What happens when we finally listen?